Okay, this entry is for my research and development journal, and it is about my overall development of my character in Citizenship. So Tom. Okay, so basically, originally starting off, we went through we read through the script. As soon as we got the script, we read through it and went through our initial thoughts of the piece, of the characters, more specifically of our own characters. And originally, I got this idea that originally I had this idea that maybe Tom was like I had the idea in my head originally. As soon as I read through it, my initial reaction to him was that he's a bit of an idiot. He's he's so desperate to find out what he is, and he can also be a bit of a yeah, he's an idiot basically when it comes to certain situations that he shouldn't be doing certain things in. So it's like so when it comes down to so Tom as a character originally, I thought he's an idiot. That's for lack of a better word, and he doesn't know what he's doing at all. And right there and then, I knew that I wanted him to be this. I knew that he was this confused character from the start because the moment he said, "I think I might be gay," basically saying that, how he had this dream and everything, it was like I had the idea in my head already that he was going to be a confused character, and I didn't think um, like I knew that I needed to have some sort of to create it, to do something that made him an original character, which then would kind of take him away from myself and what I do and put him into his own character, and doing that I originally had this I had the idea that he was going to be confused. I knew he was going to be confused from the start, and it's I also had the idea as well that it'd be quite easy because a lot of the stuff I suppose would be some of the stuff would be like emotional memory, and I was excited to play this character because of the fact that I could use this emotional memory to my advantage and to be able to create this character. And so thinking back to it, after we did this read through, and I had this idea of this character, and I originally got this idea. I got the basis for all these, for every character that I worked with. I automatically had a prejudice against all these characters I worked with. So, Amy, um, I knew that I liked her. I knew that my character liked her. So it was really um, so I'd be really close to her and everything, and I'd be able to work with her properly, and I'd want to see her. Whereas the rest of the girls that hang out with Amy, they're annoying. They're those stereotypical high school girls that are really quite ignorant, and they're horrible people. So I had this idea that I had these prejudices against these people. For example, like like with Ray and Stephen as well. Like I knew I was friends with Gary, and that's why I automatically knew that I'd be working with him really well. Whereas with Ray and Steven, I knew for a fact that I didn't like them. After reading through that script once, I didn't like these characters, so I thought that that's what I'd do. Like to create this character, I didn't like him very much. So to play this character, I would just like looking at them when they come in, I'd be quite annoyed. I'd be a bit, oh, for God's sake, they're coming back again. Here they come to come and ruin things and mess things up and make a mess. So that would be the whole thing. And then with Martin, again, I knew I didn't really trust him very much. Like reading through it and reading through what he does in the play and how he speaks to me, it's very I didn't trust him. So that would automatically give me that feeling of I know I should give you a chance, but also on the inside, I know I shouldn't at the same time because I don't trust you, because it's a bit weird. But of course, Tom is an idiot and he just falls for anything really. He's just that desperate to have some sort of have an answer to his problems. And so after doing all that and having some more deeper thinking about my character, I looked at the archetypes that we worked on with whichever it was. So we worked on the archetypes, and of course, I thought to myself, am I a head character, a heart character, or a groin character? And I automatically ruled out groin character because Tom, in my eyes, is nowhere near a groin character. He's not. He doesn't. He does care about people. He's an idiot, so he doesn't think of his head. So therefore, I knew he wasn't a head character, but he's also a nice person, so I knew he wasn't a groin character. And so when it came down to thinking about what I was, I knew that I was a heart character, and I knew that heart characters need to have a lot of tension here, not down here, here, and they think with their heart and they care about people. So this idea that it gave me the idea that I would. So it gave me the idea that I would end up being like this character so I'm a heart character who is also capable of changing when it comes to certain people, like with Ray and Steven come in and I become a bit of a groin character. I don't become a groin character, but I have a groin moment, similar to my with Bull that we worked on for the audition for this play. And so I knew for a fact that I'd be a heart character, and that being a heart character, I don't think in my head, I don't think at all. I just automatically try and assimilate to other people to make people like me and to also be friends with other people. And so along with the archetype, I considered how I would stand, and was standing and sitting also in the same sort of category, because when standing, I looked at how I would stand my feet, and of course my feet standing like this would symbolize that I don't know where I'm going. And so when I stand like that, my feet are outwards. I'm a bit iffy with things. I don't know what I want, so I don't stand still. I'm very iffy about everything, especially in the scene with Martin, where I'm very nervous and my hands are moving all over the place and I'm shaking at the end of it. And so my standing is very important. It's very symbolic to what I want. So I went for that, and the idea that and standing as well, also going up my body to my hands, where my hands would be a lot of the time. My arms would be crossed if there's a situation where I feel quite strong, where I feel like in the scene, in one of the last scenes with Amy, where the clerk walks in, and I'm talking about him coming through the floor, and he says, "Are you going to use protection or not?" And I cross my arms and said, "Might do." That is a scene where I considered that crossing my arms would be the perfect thing to do there, because still being a heart character, I'm still showing some sort of strength rather than putting my hands on my hips or doing anything else. I'm crossing my arms, still having that tension around my chest area, and I'm still being a heart character, but I'm also showing that I'm in control in that moment, rather than the rest of the scene where I don't feel like I'm in control at all, because of the fact that I don't want to do what I want to do. I just want to be told what I should do. And the same with sitting as well. Is a lot of time I try and sometimes I'll again with sitting is a lot harder than standing, because sitting I can do anything with my legs, whereas when I'm standing I often stand like that, and when I'm sitting I'll try to sit like that, again with the whole symbolicness of it's symbolic of the fact that I don't know where I'm going, don't know where I should go next. And so the whole idea of sitting and everything, again, I'll cross my arms, sit like this, all this stuff just to kind of get that focus on my chest area, so it works. after a certain amount of lessons, in one lesson with Laura, we looked at a practitioner called by the name of Antonin Artaud, who is very he's not a very the word being he's not very simple. He's a bit of a weird. He's a bit of an oddball. His whole ideas, they weren't traditional theatre. They were a lot of they're very odd theatre, and a lot of the stuff that he thought about being like trying to involve the like audience a lot, like kind of not separating the audience and the actors by having like a stage or anything like that. They'll be like engulfed in the whole thing, like with swivel chairs and stuff like that. It's stuff like that where I don't really have a say in it. It's more about what the directors want. But some of the stuff that I could think about was the idea that he didn't want to. His whole idea of not putting an emphasis on like characters and also not having a stereotype, which again it's like I'm not trying to have a stereotype of this of any kind really, but his whole thing is like trying to take you out of yourself, and it's quite similar to Meisner's whole thing of general reaction, but it's again with the reason why I thought of thinking of like thinking about what my character thinks in that moment in time. So for example, when I'm talking to Amy, and just in certain moments where I'll say what I think I'll say what I think I'm thinking, but it won't be what I'm actually thinking. So it will say something like, I don't know. So the scene where it was, let's say, the end scene where Tom wants to hold the baby that he is the father of, but of course Gary is now the stepdad of. He wants to hold the baby, and then Amy says no, and then this whole thing of like when he says like will I see you again, like instead of will I see you again, it should like he's thinking in his head like I still love you, and it's this thing of he just hopes that he'll be able to see her because he regrets everything that he's done, and that influences how I say it. So rather than like I'm not annoyed or anything, I'm not happy, I'm not sad necessarily. I'm just kind of regretful. Like I'm full of regrets, and I wish that I had fixed everything, and I wish I could have sorted it out. But I know I messed it all up, and I know that I can't fix this. But I'm just gonna say this because that's how I feel, and that really influences a lot of what's going on in my lines. So overall, my overall development of my character has been a very steady one. There's not been much to develop of it because, like I said, a lot of it is emotional memory, where it's like that whole thing of thinking about like questioning sexuality and stuff like that. Like I've been through all of that, and it's quite like it was quite a desperate time for me as well. So to think back to that and just think, oh, I know what it's like to do that. I'll just think back to how I felt back then, and it is quite a nerve wracking time. Like back then, back in high school when I was like that. It was a very hard character moment. Very hands always up here sort of person. I was always that sort of person, and I've always been the sort of person to mainly focus on what other people care about. I've never been a head. I've never been like a head character or a growing character. I've borderline always been a heart character. And the only real development of like thinking when it came to like thinking about how to act naturally was when I become a bit of a groin person, like very temporarily, because I was never like that. I never changed my attitude towards certain people like that, because I was never that sort of person to try and impress people like Tom is. Okay.